So Dr. Sam Beckett and Admiral Al Calavici leap onto the high-definition format in my Blu-ray review of Quantum Leap, the complete series. Oh boy. So this fantastic science fiction series created by Donald P. Bellisario and starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell has been one of my favorite series for such a long period of time. It garnered so much acclaim with many Golden Globe nominations, wins, and Emmy nominations as well. It is such a fantastic series that I believe has held up extremely well over the years due to the quality of acting, writing, the themes it involves, the concepts, and everything else wrapped up in this wonderfully entertaining, thrilling, inspiring, and at times heartbreaking type of show that wrapped up so many fantastic qualities to make it one of the best science fiction series that ever existed. And it had previously been released on VHS, some Laserdisc releases, and DVD as well. One of the main stinging points, at least for all the Region 1 releases of the DVD sets, was that much of the original music used in the actual series was not retained for the DVD releases in Region 1 because Universal could not retain all the music rights to release it on that brand new digital format at the time, even though in Region 2, where copyright restrictions are a little bit looser, they're able to get away with putting all that music onto those DVD sets. But here for us in North America, we were not given that privilege, and sort of when I bought Season 2 and saw that they replaced the wonderful song of Ray Charles, Georgia on My Mind in the iconic scene of the wonderful episode MIA, the Season 2 finale, it really hit home and really just burned my hide a little bit that one of these fantastic moments, one of the cherished moments of the series was ruined because they couldn't get the license rights for that. But when they came to Season 5, they eventually did get all the licenses. And when Mill Creek actually announced that they had gotten the licenses and they were going to release the complete series on DVD again and on the high-definition Blu-ray format, with the vast majority of the original music being restored after, I guess, Universal finally worked out a lot of the rights after they started putting this stuff on streaming services and working out brand new rights and licenses and everything to really get a lot more of the music put back into the series. It was the main thing that I was going to get this series after I'd already had the DVD sets for many, many years. They get all these wonderful moments restored to the original brilliance. I was so glad to actually get this set, and paying the price that I did on Amazon for this was well worth it. I'm here to give you a few thoughts and a few little critiques about the quality of this Blu-ray set, because this is a series that is close to almost being starting about almost 30 years ago, so it's not going to look as good as a modern television series does on the high-definition format where they are designed for that. This was shot and designed for a sort of analog standard definition presentation, so there are some things as you go through this series that do lend themselves a little bit more to that analog type of presentation, but there's so much good stuff to really kind of give to the credit of how they put together this series on this Blu-ray set. There's a good solid fine layer of grain over everything that they don't feel like they processed or DNR'd too many things too much. A lot of the outdoor brightly lit scenes look very, very good with very little grain, but it doesn't look like they scrubbed things where it looks waxy or it looks too fake or whatnot, too artificial. There is still a good sense of detail in everything that you see here, but against I like interior scenes or dimly lit scenes, the grain in the film stock definitely does start to show its head, like in that scene I mentioned with MIA, where it's a very darkly lit scene between the characters of Al and his former wife Beth, in this wonderful scene of him trying to have an extra moment with the woman that he loved, that he lost so many years ago, being lost MIA in Vietnam. And this is apparently a series set that they did kind of boost up the brightness levels compared to the DVDs and compared to the iTunes and streaming services versions of these masters, to really get a little bit more punch up, to get it a little bit brighter. So that shows off, but also affects some of the black levels a little bit. They're not as strong black levels, but you kind of have to, in scenes like that and various other scenes throughout the entire series, you definitely have to kind of find a balance between getting something that is very strong blacks or having something that's too dark where you don't get as much visibility in what you're looking at. So it's a balancing act you had to do with a series that was not produced to be seen entirely in an HD format, but luckily the whole series was put together on 35mm film stock, so it's not like Star Trek The Next Generation or a couple other science fiction syndicated series. This was a network series with a lot of money to do a lot of the post-production on film itself instead of doing everything on standard definition video. But there are a few points where I'm going to get to where standard definition video does seep into the post-production quality of the series. But despite any of those kind of shortcomings where things are shot a little bit darker and a little bit more grainy and whatnot, I think the series does show in HD a good sense of improved clarity and texture, like flesh tones, stuff like that. You can see pores on people's faces. You can see a lot of detail in there that you could not see on standard definition. So there's definitely an upgrade in that type of quality. And it doesn't look like there was any type of real heavy type of color correcting or fiddling with contrast or whatnot where things look too starkly different. There might be some subtle differences, but in general it just looks very natural overall. I don't think anything looks too starkly different from how you probably remember it. But the episode of Portrait for Troyan does have a little bit of a contentious thing among, as I've been looking on the forums of Blu-Ray.com, seeing the members kind of sharing their observations about how certain things might look a little different or presented in a different way from how they originally broadcast or previously released on other home video formats. And apparently A Portrait for Troyan does feature a cropped in film frame that it looks like the whole thing has been zoomed in a little bit and recentered in certain shots. So it's a thing that you might find contentious in a certain way. It's very much a factor of how Universal scanned in the negative for at least that episode. Maybe a few others as well where there's some slight different framing and whatnot can happen. And there's a slight issue that I have with the season 5 version, because this was also an issue on the DVD set previously released by Universal, is that the opening title sequence seems to have a few seconds of footage clipped at the front end, which forces the brand new Mike Post sort of rocked up theme to be a little bit out of sync with the opening title sequence. And that's always bothered me from the DVDs, and I was a little sad that they didn't have that fixed for this Blu-ray set or their accompanying DVD set from Mill Creek Entertainment. And there's a few other little things here and there where things are not exactly how they were in the original broadcast, because even though on the DVD set from Universal way back when for season 5, Lee Harvey Oswald was presented in its original 90-minute long feature-length runtime, on this Blu-ray set it's cut up into part 1 and part 2 as it appeared in syndication version. And seems like there's also some other issues here that come not a fault of the transfer process or the mastering or anything. It's just the way the series was produced at the time. Because early on in the series, first 3 seasons at least, they used all optical film composites. So everything looks pretty good, even if the colors might kind of fall off a little bit here and there in the optical composites. It's better than what ends up being evident in seasons 4 and 5, where they apparently started using standard definition post-production on the visual effects, where some of them, you can start seeing some interlaced video in those effect shots. Such as the leap in for Hurricane, where it actually turns kind of green. Season 5's Blood Moon shows a very obvious one where Al, as a hologram, walking through this walled up sculpture, and you can see all the interlaced lines over it. And there's a few other pieces of that happening at various times. It's a little more obvious in some points than others. You can see degradation in the visual presentation of it, because I guess they probably processed it on video but then printed it back onto 35mm film. So there's a bit of a glaze over the whole thing. You definitely get a decrease in detail and quality in those shots, but it's not a fault of the mastering process or the scanning of it. This is how the show was produced in the standard definition analog age, where none of that stuff would really catch anyone's eye if there was any kind of difference. Now you're getting 1080p, you're going to see a little bit of a difference there in those qualities, but it doesn't detract overall from my enjoyment of the series, because I still get all those great moments, all the great quality, all the great stories that I get to enjoy and see in the best quality they possibly can be presented in. And there's some little things like the Last Dance for Execution shows off some standard definition stock footage, which looks a little weird because it's just very much out of place, where you don't tend to see any of the stock footage be anything but processed from film. So you definitely see these kind of sore spots in the whole thing that might bother you on the first watch or whatnot, but I'm sure as time goes on and you enjoy these episodes, it'll kind of fall a little bit by the wayside and you just get used to it. But like I said, that's not a fault of how the thing was mastered, that's just the way it was produced back in the day. And so in the last week, I've just been watching so many episodes, just jumping around from one season to the next, just jumping all over the place, wherever my urges take me to revisit whatever great episode there was, or see something that I just have not seen in so long, just enjoying and embracing and just having such a great time revisiting Quantum Leap, this fantastic, wonderfully put together series that, again, feel like it really much stands up over the test of time, just in the quality of everything that is put into it, the depth and the dimension, the quality of the themes and the concepts put together in this wonderfully imaginative science fiction series and time travel concept. The core of humanity within Quantum Leap was always so well embraced by Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell being the two leads of the series constantly through 5 seasons. They brought so much to this thing and just created such an iconic piece of science fiction that is still referenced today, still adored today. This is still a popular series that still many people very much embrace, and just again, the news of having the vast majority of the original music restored was definitely, certainly a high selling point for all the people in North America who just had to deal with these replaced songs on all these episodes. They'd really just want to get so much stuff like Good Morning Peoria, where Sam leaps into a disc jockey. You got so many songs from 50s rock acts and everything populating the original soundtrack. Hearing a lot of replaced music just takes a lot of the zing out of the episodes. They get stuff like the Foreigner song restored in the Temptation Eyes episode, which is another wonderful episode I enjoyed so much. So many of these things, so many of the fans have been combing over this who, like I said, the Blu-ray.com forums and everything, have yet to really find anything that was not yet restored, but you can definitely keep up on the link below to check out that forum to see what is going on, see if anyone finds anything that is a little bit out of place, any songs that did not make the cut in terms of the licensing for this set. The fact of the matter is, I think this is a really good, worthwhile set to actually purchase, because if you love Quantum Leap anywhere a bit as I do, I think it's well worth it to get a lot of these songs replaced, restored back in the original form, and get a best quality version of Quantum Leap to be watched in high definition. Even if there are, like I said, some points where later on in the series they started using video effects to really kind of process all that type of stuff and have a little bit of a lower quality. It kind of sticks out in certain places, especially in an episode like Killing Time, where you have a lot of visual effects in the whole thing, holographic type of effects where Gushy's kind of replacing Al in a certain place because the guy escaped from the waiting room. So you got all these interesting video effects in that episode that really start to impede on the quality of the visuals in the episode, but I still very much enjoyed it because it is such a good episode, and there's so many good episodes that I originally was going to start doing a list of everything to kind of like recommend in every season, but then I realized I'd be recommending and talking about 30 different episodes at least if I tried doing that, because the list would go on and on. I'd be here for an hour talking about episodes. The fact of the matter is, guys, Quantum Leap, one of my favorite series of all time, one of the rare ones I have purchased on Blu-ray because I think it's well worth the effort to go off and purchase this thing and get this set with so much good stuff to revisit. If you've not seen Quantum Leap in such a long time, this will refresh so much of the love and adoration you had for it back then, or if you are just a constant fan of Quantum Leap, it's well worth it. If you guys have enjoyed Quantum Leap, give me your thoughts and your feelings about this whole series. What are the episodes, the moments that you love so very much? Dean Stockwell and Scott Bakula both got nominations throughout the entire run of that series, and they well deserved it. So thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed this Blu-ray review, hit the thumbs up on the video, your comments below, and sharing the links around social media is well appreciated. So thanks guys, take care, bye bye.